Slogans like Abolish ICE or Defund the police have a lot of weight behind them. In Milwaukee, these calls have become more commonplace over the past decade, especially during the city's budget season. But recently, they've been used against politicians who once shared those sentiments. But what do they mean to organizers in Milwaukee who fight for systemic change every day? WUWM's Jimmy Gutierrez talked with local organizers and found out, starting with when these ideas started to become more popular.
A little bit over a decade, probably like 15 years, police abolition has become more, I don't know if mainstream is the right way to call it, but it definitely is a bigger talking point.
This is Alan Chavoya. He's an organizer with Milwaukee's Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. He says police abolition has gotten more popular with the highly public deaths and murders of people by police. Chavoya says something that's lost in people's critique of these movements is that there's a difference between abolition and defunding. Now, Chavoya's call isn't for abolition, but community control of police.
Basically, the community gets a democratic and direct say into how the police function in their communities, if they function at all, right?
A version of this is happening in Chicago with something called CCPSA, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. While there are kinks that are being worked out, there's been a lot more community involvement around policing. When it comes to full-out abolition of police, he has his own questions, like how would this work? And who would wield the power to do the abolition? And also,
how do you reconcile with people like in the community who don't want to get rid of the police, right? And that's a question that's I think to us very important, because when we do go and talk with people, everyday people, they'll sometimes say stuff like, well, we want more police.
The thing I say is, under this world we spend, over 40% of our budget on police to produce safety, and yet bad things still happen. And a lot of them.
This is Devin Anderson with the African American Roundtable. That conversation Chavoya was talking about, Anderson has had conversations like that regularly. He remembers talking to an older woman who wanted more police on her block.
Because, people broke into my house and did this and that. And then as we continued the conversation, it was revealed that actually the police never showed up, but actually neighbors helped to show up and support by helping her board her window and then eventually replacing.
One of the African American Roundtable's big wins was passing a form of participatory budgeting. Now, this is when residents get to decide on a portion of the city's budget.
So it's going to invite people to think about, what would make their neighborhood safer that isn't police, and how can we go about making that happen?
What they learned is that residents wanted to spend less on policing and more on things like housing, jobs, and resources and opportunities for young people. But people know these words are divisive. It's been used to attack gubernatorial candidates like Francesca Hong on past statements, and even people who have been system impacted or formerly incarcerated know that these words hold a lot of weight and won't use it.
I think what many of my remarks over the years have conveyed, without me necessarily saying defund or abolish prisons, is basically, if we want safer communities, we have to invest in people.
Sean Wilson is a director at dream.org and has been working in policymaking on criminal justice reform and the intersection of it pretty much since his release from prison. He doesn't get caught up in words so much anymore, but in how the state, not just the city, spends our money and resources.
The prison system budget is more than the entire UW system.
In the latest governor's budget from 2025 and 2027, the UW system received an increase of over $250 million. Meanwhile, corrections received over $520 million, along with hundreds of new jobs.
That speaks volumes, and it should also tell Wisconsinites where we are placing our priorities.
A lot of this comes back to the idea of public safety. For people like Devin Anderson, public safety isn't about policing, but collective safety, which is different.
What keeps us most safe is having a well-rounded community, a well-resourced community where people of all ages can see themselves and have places to go play, explore, and just enjoy life together.
That was Devin Anderson, Sean Wilson, and Alan Chavoya. They talked with WUWM's Jimmy Gutierrez.